Kyiv again. Thank you for joining Frontline, and in today's members-only video we're looking at the end game and what shape peace talks, the ceasefire and a peace process might take, and whether or not Ukraine has played a blinder by accepting the US proposal for a 30-day ceasefire. It's certainly tempting to see it that way, because by agreeing, when Kyiv agreed to a US plan at talks when they met in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, America simultaneously agreed to turn on the taps again for arms and intelligence. So Ukraine showed to the White House what many of us have always known, but Ukraine proved to the White House that it wanted peace and that it was willing to negotiate. America has turned on the resources, the military resources and the intelligence that Ukraine needs or has relied on heavily to help defend itself. And of course that proposal has now been put to Vladimir Putin. And when we saw that put to Putin, what we saw was that he refused to commit to it. He found himself, as Marco Rubio, America's Secretary of State, had said, the ball was in his court. And Putin didn't hit it back, or at least didn't hit it back in the way that America would have wanted. He said that whilst he supports and he wants to cease hostilities, he couldn't accept the ceasefire as put forward because he had too many serious questions. Now, from that point of view, this would appear to be a small win for Ukraine, because Donald Trump wants this solved quickly and Putin is playing for time. But of course, this isn't as simple as a game of tennis. These negotiations are going to be far more like, I think, three-dimensional chess. And what we've seen in the last few weeks is that Donald Trump is prepared to sweep many of Ukraine's pieces off the board. He's put some of them back on, but for how long, who knows? As I'm talking to you, Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's envoy, is on his way back from Moscow to Washington, D.C. to relay his conversation with Putin to the US president. And after that, we'll expect the White House and the Kremlin to broker a call between the two leaders. What will be really interesting is to see how Donald Trump handles Vladimir Putin's questions, because Vladimir Putin said in his press conference in the Kremlin that he had serious questions about the ceasefire plan. Worth noting that when President Zelensky raised questions about what J.D. Vance called diplomacy, that was what triggered those extraordinary scenes, that extraordinary row in the White House where Vance and Trump rounded on, shouted at, humiliated Zelensky in public, and of course precipitated the spectacular deterioration, roller coaster of relations, which now appear to have come back on a level. But I think Ukraine and its allies are acutely aware that whilst relations may appear normal now, they remain fragile. And that's why, to go back to where I started, I think it is premature to suggest that Ukraine has played a blinder. I think they've played a good move, but it is too early to tell, far too early to tell how this is going to unfold. Thank you very much for watching Frontline and for joining Frontline. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below and I'll endeavour to answer as many as I can next time.